So, I want to talk to you today about blurred lines and another song and boundaries. See, that can happen to anyone. It can happen to a person who's a Ben Torah. It can happen to a regular person, a secular person, Jew, not Jew, cop. And all of a sudden, there are cases when you ask yourself the question, how did this person got to this? I mean, for example, let's say you have a cop that all of a sudden turned up to be bad. I mean, he didn't go to become a policeman to become a bad policeman, to become a criminal. He went to become a policeman to catch criminals and to deal with it. All of a sudden, you find yourself like this. Or you find yourself a person that he is a Ben Torah, Shomer Torah Mitzvot. You knew him for years. And all of a sudden, you see him in the street, you say, yo, boy, what's up, man? You don't wear a kippah anymore. Head is shaved like you're like some kind of Albanian wrestler or something like that. No, shaved head, no kippah, no. What happened, man? What happened? How do those things happen? Things happen because you let them happen. And what do I mean? The line is very defined all the time for us to know which territory to be and which territory not to be. The line is very defined. We all know it. But yet, how do we end up over there? And why is that concept that Chazal tells us that Rashaim, wicked people, afilu even on the footsteps of Gehenna, they're about to go to hell. They said to them, listen, make teshuvah, repent. Rashaim al pitcha shel Gehenom enam chozrim betshuvah. They don't repent. How is this possible? How is this possible? It's possible because when you're standing in the line, and when the line is very defined for you, and you lost an idea why you're doing what you're doing. You don't refuel yourself. You don't check your moral pulse all the time. See where you're holding, what's going on. You expect people to give you, a pat on the shoulder. People don't. You want to get a good word. People don't give it to you. And before you know, all of a sudden, this line that was so defined to you becomes blurred because you start processing and obsessing on why things are like this and why I'm working so hard and nobody is giving me a reward and nobody's doing this and why I'm doing all the mitzvot and things are hard for me and blah, 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 this whole entire thing. And all of a sudden that line, I guess from your crying, from your tears, from the dust, whatever it is not so blurred anymore. So you make a step over. You cross over the line. Then you go back and you cross over the line. And then you start going into that territory of, let's call it the left side of the line. Because the right side of the line is always the right side to be in, right? Don't forget that. The right is the right and the left is the wrong. So you go in there and all of a sudden the line is not defined anymore. There's no lines anymore. Even if you want to come back, you cannot come back. You lost. Because when you were there, you knew that this is the line, this is the fault, and this is what it is, and this is the world as you knew it. You jump to the other side, things are not as you think they are. When you are sitting on the good side and you're looking over there, things might look good for you. But once you cross over, it's a totally different world. It's a totally different world. It's a world that has its own rules, its own games, its own doctrines and different players. And the players are not as you thought they were when you were on the other side. What is it like? For example, let's say you watch a movie about, I don't know, some kind of drug dealing gangsters. I don't know, you watch a movie about Pablo Escobar. And it kind of looks good for you. I mean, in the movie, it looks terrific. I mean, they're portrayed in a certain way. Life seems to be good for him and so on and so forth. And you said, hey, man, I want to do that. And then you cross the line over. All of a sudden, you didn't realize that that was a movie. That was a fantasy. And the world over there is very different. I mean, in the world of, criminals, there's no such thing as family. And they'll butcher your own family and do some horrible things for you. And it's completely different. But now you want to come back. Now you can't. Because that world, you left that world. It's not that the Rashayim, the wicked, on the footsteps of Gehenna, or on the opening of hell, don't want to. It's not that they don't want to. Because pay attention what Chazal says, Rashayim afilu al pitcha shel Gehenom einam chozrim b'tshuva. You could read it as a statement. Even on the door, at the gate of hell, they einam chozrim b'tshuva. They're not coming back. It's a statement. It's not einam rotzim. They don't want to. Einam chozrim b'tshuva. I'm making a statement here. And the statement is because it is impossible for them to do that. You need to shatter everything. And that's easier said than done. And even if you do, there are going to be some demons from the past coming chasing you. Once you decided to cross over the line, most likely you're not going to be able to come back. Most likely you're not going to be able to come back. And then you're going to find yourself doing things you didn't even think you're doing. Don't think that you could say, oh, you know what? As much as I step from this way, I'll step the other way. No, it doesn't go like that. I'll give you an example of how things are. Let's say, for example, you're in the West. You live in the West. And you said to yourself, well, life here is not fair. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, blah, the whole entire thing, politics, politicians are corrupt, the whole things that we all say. So now in your, genius idea, you're going to say to yourself, well, I'm going to move to North Korea, where everybody's equal. And the leaders have 99.99% approval. Well, there might be, and it's easier to run away from South Korea to North Korea than to go from North Korea to South Korea. They're going to shoot you, and they're going to make it. There's about 2 million mines that are there. You're not going to make it. And that's one of the reasons why you have so many people in North Korea that are saying, listen, Kim Jong mentally ill, we had enough of you, we're doing a coup, because they can't, they're captive. They crossed the line. That's the same thing to you. Same thing to all of us. You better redefine and check where the boundaries. You got to do patrols every morning, just like you do in the army. Get up in the morning, rise and shine early in the morning. Not like some dingbat that gets up at 9 o'clock. Get up early in the morning. Go check the line. Go to the fence. Make sure that there's no opening in the gates, that some intruder didn't come into your own territory. You do this in the morning and you do it at night. At least if you don't do a patrol all the time. If you know what I mean to hold the line in terms of military, you'll know that you're patrolling, and what they do, they have a fence, right? Then they have a territory, a piece of land that they plow every single day to see if there are footprints. And then there is the road, and then there are field mines, and then the road, and the fence might be, with monitors and so on and so forth. This is all for fence. How about your fences? Do you patrol, your fence every day? Do you make sure that no intruders come in? But because when the lines get blurry, you're lost. Because at any moment you cross the line, when you cross the line, that's it. It's a blue pill. Goodbye. It's like finished. You can't go back. It's just as soon as you go down. I mean, it might look okay from you from here, but this is all part of the fantasy. As soon as you cross over the line, it is like, how far is the rabbit hole? I mean, you're going to go sliding down, and you ain't going to stop in the rabbit hole until you're going to hit the bottom. And that's exactly what happens to all of us. So that's why I'm telling you, life is like a special ops operation all the time. Life is like a military. And you're a soldier fighting a battle. And you need to do whatever applies in the battlefield. You're going to take it and apply it to your own life. And that's why I think, it's not such a bad idea to go to the army or go to the armed forces. It's not a bad idea. I think it's a great idea. It does not turn kids into men. It makes men out of marshmallows. And now you got to understand. And you got to be there like a soldier and exercising. And in the army, what do you think? Okay, so you finish your boot camp. All right, goodbye. All right, now what we're going to do? We're going to eat, you're going to eat all day long and do push-ups and watch movies and sit down. No, all you do is work out and train and this training and that training and this training and that training. You always train. You always train. So if you're going to enlist for like 3 or 4 years, that means 3 or 4 years you're going to be training. And by the way, that's why soldiers make better citizens. I do believe, I honestly do believe, that one of the downfalls of America started with the end of the draft, when they stopped going to the army. You go to the army, you'll see how better things will be for you. Because one thing for sure you're going to get is discipline. And you're going to learn to appreciate, and you know exactly what's right, what's wrong. But when you don't know what's right or what's wrong, it's not that maybe you're going to make a mistake. You are going to make a mistake. As a matter of fact, you are the mistake. Now you got to have your lines very well defined. That's why we must learn halacha, rabotai. It's very nice to learn Gemara. There's nothing like learning Gemara. Nothing. But knowing halacha, knowing exactly what are the lines, what's the lechatchila, what's b'di'evet, what should I do first, and what is if there's, what is, circumstantial decision, and so on and so forth. You need to know exactly what you're doing. That's why halacha really envelopes everything, every aspect of your life, so you'll know what to do, so you won't get lost. Because, hey, let me tell you, it's pretty dark and nasty in the rabbit hole. So, if you haven't understood what I just told you now, well, you better do. And do pretty darn quick, because time is running out. Now you're going to say, I don't know anything, but that's okay. Slowly, you're going to get near, you're going to push closer to the line and closer to the line, and then when you're going to be pushed out. You will not know anymore. Not knowing where the line is being on the other side of the line. You should know for sure. You need to know, as much as you know your situational awareness as a human being, physical, you also need to know your spiritual situational awareness. What are you holding spiritually? You need to know exactly what's right, what's wrong. Don't let media and politics and some crazy, professors in Harvard or in Broccoli University in California, Berkeley University over there, decide to you what's right and what's wrong. We know what's right and what's wrong. We have halacha, we have the Torah, and we work with this. That's the right and wrong. That's been right and wrong for thousands of years, and it will be right and wrong for another thousands of years. That's what we know. Don't confuse halacha with some kind of crazy activist in downtown Berkeley. We don't care about Massachusetts or whatever the heck they are. We don't really care. Like all these politicians that tell you, put a mask on, and then they go to Florida, in bars and parties without a mask and stuff like this. We don't need that. We know what's halacha. Surround yourself with create a perimeter and protect your perimeter. What does it mean? It means that you should create secure perimeter around you of halacha. That's how you operate. If not, you're failing. If not, the intruders, the forces are greater, they're sophisticated, they'll come out from the sewer. And that's when they're going to attack you. I'm going to tell you something. I forgot when it was, maybe in the early 2000s, there was a TV series with, I forgot his name, 24, what's his name, Jeff Bauer? Jack Bauer, right? 24. And it was one segment that was really amazing, how from within, there was some guy who was working, I guess, with the Chinese or something like that, from this, counterintelligence that's supposed to know everything, and then he sold some information to the Chinese or whatever it is, and the intruders came through the drain. I said, oh wow, that's really a good analogy of how things come to us. We have intruders inside of us, and those intruders of foreign governments, as they have foreign ideas that we have in our heads that are not Jewish halachically oriented. And these are within us, and we need to eradicate them, and we need to fortify it and make sure all entries and all points of entry are secured. Even if it's the sewer, whatever is your own private sewer, please don't share it with me. I'm not interested. But yes, in your own private sewer, you need to have security as well. And that's what I'm telling you. Start thinking like a soldier, and you have a chance to win the battle. You're going to be a wimp. You're going to be wiped out. Have a beautiful day.